What's going on, everyone? Friendly Neighborhood Fanboys here, back again.
Welcome back.
Today, we're going to be switching it up a little bit. We're going to go over the James Gunn casting rumors for Superman Legacy. We're going to give our thoughts on what we think about each of those frontrunners for those castings. Who knows? That'll probably change. There's kind of like been conflicting articles going back and forth on who's actually in the running. So,
and even James Gunn's been pretty like vocal on social media. They're just like dummying people online.
Yeah,
like just
putting cast down.
Literally, call them castaway.
Yeah.
And then we're going to go over the new Titans run.
Titans #1, yeah,
Briefly.
just got
Titanfall?
relaunched. Awesome, awesome.
Cool.
And if you're listening to this on a platform like Apple Podcasts, please give us a 5-star rating. It really helps us out if you're listening audio only.
And if you're on YouTube, thanks for stopping by. Please hit that like button. It really, really does help us out. It helps us create more content, and subscribe to the channel for more reaction content and breakdown content, especially with The Flash on the horizon. We really, really do appreciate you guys sticking around. So let's start it off with obviously, you know, the most important casting rumor that we've heard so far, which is the new Superman. Okay. There's been a few going around, and the reason why I kind of mentioned that conflicting article was that some people were saying that Nicholas Hoult was actually in the running for Superman and not Lex Luthor.
Interesting.
I hate that.
Yeah.
If that's actually legit, not a fan of that. But I won't start negative. I'm going to start positive.
Yeah,
I think
let's
he's a
start
great
positive.
actor. He is a good actor. He's a good actor.
I don't
Yeah,
think
he is a
I
great
don't think
actor,
he would
just-
be right for the role. I don't think he has the look of Superman, which honestly is kind of like a very surface level sort of it's a surface level criteria to kind of like base somebody off of. However, if you're going to be playing Superman and you're going to be the tentpole character of an entire universe, you got to have the look.
It's
You
the
gotta have the
one
look. Like,
character
it's-
that like I think everybody unanimously agrees that there has to be a very specific look to be Superman. Like everyone, like you can bend a few things here and there, but like Superman has to have a specific look. I feel
like
like
any other character, like a character like Batman has worked. Like a lot of our Bruce Waynes, a lot of the actors playing Batman have looked wildly different, right? Not necessarily comic accurate, some of them, right? Looked wildly different. The Flash, same thing, wildly different. For Superman, though, I mean, I really like the idea of David Corenswet.
yeah.
Me too.
He has look, and from what I've seen, he has the nature, like the natural kind of nature of Superman. And I think he'd be a great
You know what's
fit.
like a really great thing about him too is he looks identical to Henry Cavill. So yeah.
He also has like the classic like Christopher Reeves.
He does,
sort of
yeah.
look as well, which I like. And I think from everything that I've heard, I think James Gunn is really trying to channel like that Christopher Reeves energy again.
100%.
And that I'm excited for that. I'm excited for that.
I'm pretty sure it was an interview with Gunn, or maybe it was an article and I'm confusing it. But anyway, regardless, he was talking about how they wanted that just kind-natured version of Superman, and they referenced like all of Christopher Reeve's work and like how he was. And he was saying it's not just how he portrays Clark Kent and Superman separately. It's like that kind of like upbeat, just like genuine nature that like, and you know, again, it's like he pissed people off on the internet when he said like, oh, you know, when he saves a cat out of a tree, it's like, it's that, you know, it's just like the fact that he's just having fun with it. Like it's that, like that smile, that charm that comes along. And like, that's really what they're looking for. And I feel like David Cornsmead,
David Hogsmeade.
Yeah. David Hogsmeade actually like truly does kind of encapsulate that character. And I think like even 4 years ago he was like on record.
He has expressed interest in wanting to play Superman too.
100%. Yeah, genuinely like looks and everything wise, I would have to agree with that. Like he would be like my ideal pick for it. There were a few other ones in there that I wasn't too big on. I can't remember off the top of my head what the other ones were, but yeah, the Nicholas Hoult thing I would not be okay with.
I'm not even sure if I would really want him as a Lex Luthor either, to be honest.
He kind of gives like he's very similar to
Who would I?
Yeah, if you had to choose somebody for Lex Luthor, who would
honestly like? I would say this is kind of like a odd choice. However, seeing the Dune Part 2 trailer, I think Austin Butler, bald, could be an unreal Lex Luthor. He's an absolutely phenomenal actor. He's like a method actor. Like his performance as Elvis, like regardless of what the actual movie was like, his performance as Elvis was unreal. Like you know what I mean? Him in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, like every role that he takes seriously, and he completely transforms into that character. After seeing him as Fade Rautha in the Dune Part 2 trailer, like seeing him with like the bald head, I'm like, man, this guy could play an unreal Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
So I would say like that is probably like my fan casting. I think
Yeah.
You guys have a?
I mean, I'll just say like
Michael Rosenbaum too.
I was gonna say,
just gonna say, I'm
Rosenbaum.
like, in an ideal world, I would love Michael Rosenbaum to
that's-
come back, because like he's like the best portrayal of Lex Luthor.
He
we've ever
legitimately
had.
is. He legitimately is.
And like, put your like, even if you're someone that doesn't like Smallville and like thinks it's a little corny or whatever, like the way his dialogue is written and the way he delivers monologues is like gross.
It's amazing.
Like, it's fucking unreal.
Yeah.
Like, it's the best portrayal, and like you're like genuinely scared of him. Like, you don't know what his next move is. Like,
he is who I
So
think about.
I think that was
Yeah.
something with BVS, like that Lex Luthor, that people were kind of
Jesse Eisenberg was
Yeah,
like that.
he didn't bring that physical aspect of like that commandeering, because I don't know if it was you or Alex saying like Lex is supposed to be this very like physical presence too.
Yeah,
like
he
he's
is.
not just
He's like calm and collected, I feel like, too, a little bit more. Like Jesse Eisenberg's
Yeah.
portrayal was a little too like jokery for me. Like he was a little like, I know
A
he's
little
like
more sporadic and,
Yeah. Like he was good. Like it
predictable.
grew on me over a year. I remember the first time I saw it, I was not a fan of it. I was like, out of all the things in the movie, I loved the movie, but I was like, that was the one thing I was like, I just don't see Lex Luthor.
No, I understand.
But like it's grown on me over the years. But I can't help but like compare him to like a Joker or Riddler, just kind of like super. He's super like.
which there was like there have been a run or two, if I'm not mistaken, in the 90s where like he had the long hair, he had that like jittery like young kid type fucking persona, which is like what they were going for in that. But like, yeah, obviously, ideally, like even the Superman, remember the animated series Lex?
Yeah.
Like huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, posing
Well,
presence and
yeah.
stuff. Like,
That's
it
what
doesn't
he
have
has
to be
been.
that much. Like, even Rosenbaum wasn't big, but like he was in great
he
shape.
was still like pretty physically imposing.
Yeah, for sure. And like he had
compared to
very
Tom Welling as well,
exactly.
right?
He had like very physical beats, and like obviously you want Superman to be a little more imposing because you want that contrast between like, okay, like Lex isn't, a physical match, obviously, but like you want that kind of like manipulation and
he's still a
minds to
threat.
be on par, if not greater than Clark's, right?
He's technically I think the idea with Lex, and I think the reason why Lex and Superman work is because Lex Luthor is intellectually kind of superior, but also because he's morally inferior to Superman, he always loses. You know what I mean?
Luthor.
But it's that kind
Luthor.
of it's that kind of that contrast. Like Michael Rosenbaum, like I know we're kind of like throwing it out there. I would legitimately love to see that.
Yeah, I think that would
However,
be
it
sick.
would depend on what they're trying to do with this Superman
The age
legacy.
thing would work.
I was gonna say, are they going for a younger Lex Luthor? I always kind of imagine Lex Luthor as someone a little bit older than Superman, but
They're
like
usually kind of around the same age,
They are.
right?
Yeah.
Lex might be a little older, but I don't think like Rosenbaum's almost he's in his mid 40s at this
Yeah,
point.
they're the same age for like Lex to see him almost as a peer.
Yeah.
Right, but like with that kind of
like even in Smallville, I think he's 3
Couple
or 4
years
years
older.
older or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah,
So
you're right.
they kind of give him that separation a bit.
but
But
he's just the best. To see him
He
reprise his
literally
role.
is.
I mean, honestly, now like
Luthor.
from what we've seen, like with Spider-Man, No Way Home, what we're going to be seeing in like the Flash, and everything, anything is fucking possible
Yeah.
at this
yeah,
point.
I mean he's friends with James Gunn too. So
Yeah,
I mean
so-
it could work. He was just in Guardians. He's that guy with like really really shiny metal face that says, "Gamora, you coming?" Right at the end. That's it.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah, I made a little
that's
cameo.
fun.
But yeah, I would say like for like with that aside, yeah, I would cast my fan vote. I would love to see Austin Butler. I think he would kill it.
Austin Butler's a great choice. I must say, I think Nicholas Hoult is a great actor, and I think he would do well with Lex. Like
Yeah.
I've seen some, like, I mean, it's honestly, I was gonna say some artist renditions, but it's probably fucking AI art of him bald and shit, and like he looks good.
well, he had a buzz cut in Mad Max, didn't he?
Yeah,
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 so,
yeah.
like-
Well, I mean, it looks a little goofy, like trying to
Yeah.
like picture that because he's wearing fucking white makeup.
Yeah.
and shit. But,
Witness me.
Great movie.
yeah, phenomenal movie. But
favorite
with that
actor?
being said, like he has that physical presence too. What's that?
No, it's Tom Hardy's.
Oh
Ben's
yeah, my favorite actor.
Oh, true.
Sorry.
Tom. I'll tell you what, if Tom Hardy was ever cast in anything else ever again, I'd be really upset. I'm just kidding. He's a great actor. It's just like
Venom was just a bad
Venom
movie.
is
Yeah,
just wow.
And the
Like,
second one was also really
Yeah.
bad.
I apologize to anyone that likes him as
Yeah.
as fucking Venom and shit, but like, wow, just that performance
Didn't
just
work for
hurts
us.
my
Didn't
soul.
work for us.
When he's in good movies, he's a good actor. Like in Inception and like The Revenant.
Yeah,
he was
he's
good in that.
100%.
He's great in
He's
Peaky
great.
Blinders too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But who would you guys say for like any other fan castings for Lex? Any other actors that would come to mind? For you guys?
I don't really have one that comes to mind. Like the only thing that it's like not really a fan cast, but like I just remember like going back and looking at Iron Man, like the guy that plays Obadiah Stane, like he had a very like the box of scraps. Like he's obviously way older than what like they're going for with Lex Luthor, but like he had that same kind of like presence. Like I always kind of like think of him when I think of Lex Luthor. And then like also like it would never happen, but like just because I love him in Daredevil and Kingpin, like Vincent D'Onofrio is such a like such
Actually,
it's such a
low-key.
menacing
That could
presence.
I didn't even
Low-key
think of that. That's
Yeah.
actually a good one.
That would
that
be
could
sick.
low-key work.
But again, he's like it really depends on the Lex they're going for. Like if they're
Yeah.
going for like the mind fuck kind of like intimidating guy, then Vincent D'Onofrio would be awesome. But he's not really like a a young like slender dude. So like it just really depends on what they're.
It seems
what
to me
they're
like
going
you're going for a more like a Lex that's on par age and physicality wise, like with Superman. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, James Gunn has been citing All-Star Superman, the story by Grant Morrison and Frank Quitely as being the main source of inspiration. I'm hoping like there's some crazy ideas in that book, and like it's one of the quintessential Superman stories, which is weird because it's like a very kind of recent Superman story, like of the past 20 years. And I can see it. Like I can see what they're going for.
Yeah.
You know, I can definitely see what they're going for. What about you?
Well, I was gonna say for Lois, on the theme of redheads, Jessica Chastain as Lois. Thoughts on that? Possibly, just because I think like
I have one.
Some
I think
of
she
the-
has the look, yeah.
like some of the Lois like portrayals is kind of like she's very like I don't know, like I think headstrunk's probably the wrong word, but very like, hey, like I'm doing this, like I'm confident, like I'm and I feel like her as Murph in Interstellar
Don't
kind of
let
has
me
that
in,
same type of vibe where
True,
she's super
yeah,
smart,
yeah, for
she
sure.
can figure stuff like you know what I mean, like
She's
that
done some
kind
badass roles too. Like she was in that I don't know the name of the movie, but it was basically like John Wick, but like female version, and she did like some really insane action scenes. So there was that, and then she was good in the It movie as well. She was good in It Part 2. Id.
All of the actors that were rumored to be the part of Lois Lane, they all have the look. I think Kayla Xander though would be probably like my choice, but was it Rachel Brosnahan?
And there's Emma Mackey as
Emma
well.
Mackey, yeah.
I like both of those
Yeah,
choices.
I
to
like
be
both
honest.
those choices too. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I really like. They have the look. It's just shitty being like, yep, they look like
Yeah,
her.
I'm
'cause
like,
it's
we're not
like,
familiar with their
I
body
don't know.
work,
Yeah.
But at the same time, like I think at least for a Superman legacy, for what they're trying to go for, like the likenesses of the original comic book characters, I think are really important. So like we're not trying to give like a surface level like base criteria. Yeah, they look like it because obviously for Lois Lane and Superman, like they gotta have a chemistry. Even for Lex Luthor and Superman, they gotta all have chemistry with each other. But if we're going off of the rumors right now, I think everyone that has been in talks or rumored to be in talks has the potential for sure. You know what I mean?
We still haven't fan casted our Superman yet. We didn't. Like, did we do?
Mine's
like, a
David
fan cast?
Corenswet.
I honestly,
I
yeah, I
think he's
agree.
the
I
best.
fully agree
I
with
think
that
he's- I
one.
think
But
he's
do
the
you
best
have
choice.
someone else?
Well, yeah, I was gonna say, I was like, I don't know why we're debating this because it's actually James Gunn himself has already confirmed who Superman is, and it's gonna be Michael Cera, which is my absolute choice of Superman.
Michael Cera
There was
Hey, you guys see
I
any,
think Danny DeVito
you guys see any
Yeah,
help over here?
as Batman. Actually,
there was this picture. I was crying. Michael Cera as a Superman. I
Hey,
think
you
he
guys need any
actually
help over
voices
here
him
because
in like one of the
I
cartoons or
could like
something.
fly or something over there.
Wow, that was actually tremendous.
Tremonious.
Yeah.
No, I remember there was like this thing that was floating around that like it was a joke, and the like internet got so pissed off that it was like Michael Cera has officially been cast as James Gunn's Superman,
Here's the
and I
thing.
was fucking crying at that.
You know what, guys? I'm a changed man, and after seeing Guardians 3, I'm gonna say this right now. I think I've changed my opinion now. Okay.
Wow.
I think James Gunn knows what he's doing. I think he is going to capture the tone of Superman. I don't think I was afraid it's going to be, this is going to be like
Were
a
you
Guardians
petrified?
thing. It's going to be a Suicide Squad thing. I didn't like those, like a lot of stuff. After watching Guardians 3 and seeing his range of how he's able to direct like the really sad stuff, like the outright kind of like disturbing stuff, and then everything else, I think I am more excited for Superman Legacy, and I'm less scared. I
sure.
think like he is taking it seriously, and I think he is going to come up with like the touchstones that he's like throwing out there and the influences that he's trying to take. I'm a lot more trusting in it.
It's a big statement by you.
I know.
Look at this.
I'm a
Oh,
change-
would you look at this?
Bro, I'm a fucking changed man.
The last
I'm a
4
changed man.
podcasts, you were like just
For the last bro,
Last every podcast.
well, I mean, yeah, like honestly, like I'm like officially excited now. I'm officially excited now.
That's a big statement.
So
I must agree.
James Gunn, if you are watching this, I know you are, buddy. I'm sorry for everything that I said before.
Yeah.
I trust you now. Because the thing is what I kind of came to realize is looking at all the slate of movies with like the Green Lantern show, how they want to basically adapt Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, which is one of the best comic book runs out of anything that I've read in the past like fucking 10 years almost. How they want to make Swamp Thing like an actual just like straight up horror movie. I think what their plans are is, what's his name, Peter Safran, right? Sorry, I like blanked right there. I think what they're really trying to do is create a universe that's not all tonally consistent like Marvel, because we're reaching the fatigue on it, obviously.
Yep.
I think what they're trying to do is, okay, we have in DC we have very wildly different characters. Let's make different tones in these different pockets of the universe, but still have it all kind of cohesive. I think that's a great call.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
we've been kind of saying that for a while too, because it's like that's the thing about Marvel is it's so exhausting. It's like it's one note, everything feels
Exactly.
the same, and that's why like
why we're getting sick of
Guardians,
it.
like when I left Guardians, that's why I had like such a strong feeling about it, because like I felt like I was like, wow, that actually made me feel things, and I was talking to you about it last week, and I think if James Gunn with Superman can capture like, as he can do like that lighthearted, like goofy, like Superman saving a cat out of a tree, but because of how he handled like the really dark and mature things from like Guardians and like some of the disturbing stuff, is like, okay, we can have that like happy-go-lucky Superman, but then like I want the conflict that Superman has to face be like really like deep and like existential, essentially, right? And that would make for a really good movie, because it's like, okay, we established that Superman is like this jovial guy, some like an icon to look up to, and that would differentiate it from Zack's Superman, who obviously was like a little bit darker and grittier in nature, which divided a lot of people. So like I know they want to go with the lighthearted Superman, so if he can do that but then also incorporate like the really dark stuff that we saw like from Guardians, but just on a Superman's story, I think that would be really good. Like it's like, have that really stark contrast, have that really goofy or really lighthearted Superman at the beginning, and then show like the really dark, mature decisions that he has to deal with. Like Lex Luthor comes up with some fucked up plan to like really test Superman, right? And then that's when we see him have to make difficult decisions, and I think that would make an awesome Superman story.
The one thing I must say though, I'm hoping isn't true. I've heard rumors that like there's been like random other characters that have been cast for the movie, and I really don't want the movie to become crowded with other characters when it's supposed to be a Superman story.
I don't think that will happen though. I hope
There's
not.
been a hot rumor going around that fucking like Mr. Terrific's been cast for the movie, and like the more and more I see like these characters being like rumored or like thrown in, like the more and more I get kind of not worried, because I'm sure it'll still be good, but like I want a Superman centric story.
Yes.
The stuff about Crypto, for example, go look at the context of that interview that he was giving. He was joking. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't care like who you are. You're like, no, you're serious. He was fucking joking. That's not to say that he won't do that, but I think that actually will come with Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, because Crypto has a presence in that book.
Crypto is a big part of that book.
Yeah, and so long as it's balanced out, I'm okay with it. But I don't want that. If Superman Legacy is going to be the tentpole movie in this new DCU going forward, I want the focus to be on Superman.
Yes.
And whatever conflict he has to deal with. If you want to introduce all these other line of characters afterwards, sure. Introduce Crypto in Supergirl. Like, Crypto's in the pod with her or some shit. Whatever the case. However you want to do that. However you want to make that work. But Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow has a lot of mature themes. Like, it's not just some random ass story and like, I'll have you go like super pets and super kids, fucking super friend kid, whatever the fuck, right? So like it can be done. It's just like that's my one wish is that it stays focused on Superman singularly.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
In terms of the rumors, there's so many rumors that Gunn has already shut down, I don't listen to any of them. Like the fan casting is, or like the rumor casting is one thing.
Yeah.
But like in terms of like story script wise, I'm not listening to any of that shit because no one really knows. Everyone's just like throwing rumors out, blah blah blah.
Yeah, there's been a ton of stuff like
So, like,
Brainiac and shit. Like,
Yeah, which I mean, like I would love
Well,
to see a version of Brainiac eventually. I
I'd
think
probably shit my pants in happiness, honestly, if that was the thing.
even though we've already had like a Lex Luthor like pretty recently, I like the idea of starting with a Lex Luthor, just because that it's like Batman's Joker. You know what I mean? Like it's like he's like the antithesis of Superman.
Yeah.
Like they work.
It would be cool to have him like throughout the DCU.
That's what I mean. Lex
he's just
Luthor is a big
there.
part
He's not,
of-
So it's like a
defeated in the
Thanos
movie.
level.
Well, maybe not even Thanos level, but just like a character that recurs. That
A low-key level almost.
Yeah.
Okay.
With
Lex-
Lex is also one of those guys. He kind of treads between like in the comics and animated. We've seen him like side with the good guys and like help Superman
Yeah.
like for the greater good of the universe. So like in a like a Brainiac situation.
But he
where
always
has-
has an ulterior
He
motive
does.
for
He does.
himself,
But of course. But what I'm saying is like that's what Ben is going.
He
at,
always
is, like,
acts a
he's-
little differently in like the universe-wide stuff. When it's just him and Superman,
Yeah.
it's like it's a very complex relationship. Have you read All Star Superman?
I have not. No.
Sorry to put you on the spot. Have you?
No. It's okay.
But you have, right? Okay, so like just like real quick, like there's a scene in All Star Superman where Lex Luthor is like basically like talking to Superman. He's like basically like captured or whatever, right? And Superman is like slowly dying, and he knows that he's dying, and like there's a conversation between him and like Lex Luthor where Lex is like completely unaware of like he thinks that he's like beating Superman. He's like being very like how do you say it, like he's teasing
He's
him, like,
monologuing a little bit.
yeah, he's goading Superman. And Superman is just like knowing that he's dying, knowing that he's also kind of like helping like save Lex as well. And it's just like he's morally unbreakable, but like Lex doesn't see that. And there's this like I haven't read the book in a while, but you've read it more recently than me, but there's this like amazing duality in between those two characters that I think like has to be
The dichotomy of
the
good and
dichotomy,
evil.
yeah. Amazing dichotomy in that scene between the two characters.
And like
Yeah.
we all know that James Gunn is like heavily referencing All-Star Superman for his script, and they're conveniently re-releasing the animated movie that they did in 4K now to prep people.
Can't wait.
That's actually an interesting thing I've been seeing out of like everything that's been coming out since they took over is like at the butt end of every trailer for like the new movies, they've been like laying out like here's 3 books to
Bro,
read.
I
like,
love that.
Yeah.
I
Here's
love
3
that.
books to read to prepare yourself. Here's, re-releases of the animated movies coming out. Here's the second he announced Superman Legacy, they announced the 4K box set of the Reeves movies, and it's like they're clearly doing this for a reason to kind of like prep and inform people of like tonally what's going to be coming for the movies, which is cool. I like that.
And as someone who reads a lot of comic books, I love that. Like when he announced Supergirl was going to be based heavily off of Woman of Tomorrow, that book sold out within like a week after, and DC had to make a statement like, "Hey, we're reprinting it. Don't worry." Like the trade because like it had already been released, and like for like them to have that much effect on like this comic book industry that I've been a part of for a long time. It's a pretty like small industry. Not a lot of people read the books, even though everyone knows about it. That's like one thing that I love that they're doing, that they're putting that to the forefront. I think like I said, I think we're in good hands. Can't wait. I think it will be a Superman centered story. I think they're gonna try to. I have envisioned like a more fantastical, like almost like
Fantastic
whimsical, like
Where to find them?
fantasy sort of like not fantasy Superman, but you know what I mean, like a very kind of like dreamlike fantastical Superman.
I have fantasies about Superman, so I understand. Let's talk about Titans here for a sec.
Yeah, so speaking of comic books, one of my picks of last week, one of my favorite books that came out last week, one that I was like really excited for, is Titans #1. So we haven't had an actual Titans book in a few years, and they're relaunching everything in kind of like the new continuity. I wanted to bring this up because this is part of the dawn of DC. It's not a relaunch, but it's basically a rebrand that DC's doing. So they're bringing back some titles. They brought back Hal Jordan as Green Lantern for the first time in like maybe like, I don't know, 5, 6, maybe even longer than that, 5, 6 years or so. There's a lot of stuff going on in Superman and Batman, and basically what DC is trying to do is bring in some of these characters back and bringing them down to like their essence, right? Like their classic sort of versions themselves. Amazing Action Comics and Superman run going on right now. They're really developing the Superman family, but Titans #1 is the new continuity. So the Justice League has disbanded, and there's only the Titans, and Nightwing being like the savior of the last like crisis. is now in charge of the Titans again. And it's really great to see all these characters come back. The issue, spoiler alert, the issue ends with a little bit of like a murder mystery involving Wally West, which is really cool. The Titans Tower's back, Raven's back, Starfire, Cyborg, Beast Boy,
It's like
Wonder
the
Girl.
classic lineup.
The classic lineup
Yeah.
is back. And
I love seeing Wally there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's awesome, and there's a lot of great character moments between everyone, especially between like Beast Boy and Raven, who are in like a relationship now. Nightwing is kind of like finding his new leadership role again, and Nightwing has been going through a little bit of a renaissance lately with Tom Taylor, who was the writer of this book. And over in Nightwing, like just like amazing, probably the best Nightwing stuff that I've seen in like the past like 10, 15 years at least. And yeah, it's good. This is a limited series. I think it's only going to be about 6 issues or so. But I would highly recommend people like start checking out the comic books, start checking out what's going on with DC, especially because this rebrand that's going on is like, there's a lot of like really great stuff going on in it. Like we're in the middle of like I think a seminal Action Comics run with Superman, like a great Detective Comics run with Batman, and like everyone else. Like Green Arrow was relaunched. Cyborg also came out last week too, which I haven't read yet, but hearing is a great book. But yeah, so it's interesting though. I wanted to bring this up because it's interesting to see what they're doing at Dawn of DC in the comic book line, and it's kind of like aligning with the what they're trying to accomplish with like Superman Legacy in the DCU. Just kind of like not resetting everything, but bringing everyone back to like their essence.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like their kind of like basics. So yeah,
Cool.
it's really interesting.
Call it food basics. Yeah.
You could.
You could. Indeed.
Beatty's basics.
Yeah, I think that's a good point to end off on. I think we're all excited for Superman Legacy. We're excited to see where it goes. Who's cast? Obviously, I think they said that they're doing screen testing in June, so we potentially could find out.
I wonder what suit they'll use for the screen test.
That's interesting. They'll probably use
Henry.
Henry's. Honestly,
Yeah.
they usually use like one of the most recent ones. I think Zach was the only one to pull the Reeve suit out of the archives. But I mean, with that being said, Gunn could do the same thing because that's what
they're
he's
trying
going
to go
for,
back
right?
for it.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. They're definitely not going to pull Routh's suit out. I'll tell you that for free.
That's a great suit though. I like it. I like it still.
Yeah.
That's a whole other podcast topic
Yeah.
right
It's
there.
a great
He's also
movie, though.
massive, so nobody would fit in it.
That is true. That is true.
Yeah. I mean, David Corenswet is, I think he's like 6'4". He would actually be bigger than Henry if he was cast
Okay.
because he's like 2 or 3 inches taller. So, like, kind of fires me up, not going to lie.
Yeah.
Not
as big as Ben Affleck though.
No, still.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks so much for stopping in. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. I was going to say let us know your comments in the thoughts below, but that doesn't work. And yeah, we'll see you soon. We're going to be seeing The Flash shortly, so we'll be covering that as soon as possible.
Yeah, the new Batman movie.
Yeah.
I love how they're literally framing it as a Batman movie.
Batman 89 Part 2.
I think that's why there's so much
Batman
hype around
Returns
it.
Part
Like
2.
no one cares about the Flash really. Everyone only cares about Batman. Like I'm serious.
Yeah. Although I am excited.
We're
to see
the only
Flash
ones
stuff.
who care about Ben Affleck as Batman for 4 minutes.
His 4 minutes of screen time gonna be fucking.
We've
it's
seen
a
all
press-
of it in the trailers.
howling
Yeah.
in the theater.
It's a
Yeah.
press screening. I'm gonna be fucking screaming in the theater.
Yeah, we'll definitely be talking about that soon
100%.
for sure.
All right, bye.
Yeah.